Check it out, boys. Listen, pal. Got these little window details to do here today, buddy. Some 030 aluminum going on there. We're going to cut this foam back, add some wood in, giving ourselves some wood so we have something to fasten to. I'm not going to tap into none of these bricks. The goal is to give this old home a modern look. When they do these updates, what they call it is an update. So we're not going to be doing any 1986 brick mold or nothing like that around it. We're going to give it the smooth box look, bring this sucker around to the 21st century, boys. Anyways, let's get after it. Now this is insulated from the inside, boys. I just scraped away the foam that was coming out through the outside of the cavity here. I'm using some Super Expert black. This ain't to keep water out, folks. This is just an acoustic sealant, extra air barrier. I'm using black because that's what I had in the gun. I might use a different color for the next bead, pal. There's no telling till you know, but our wood's gonna go over top of this, so this is not a water barrier, simply for acoustics and air seal, boys. Throw that level on the window, buddy. Nicely installed, nice and level. You throw that level down on the sill, she's out of whack there, pal. This is something you're gonna run into a lot when you're retrofitting these old homes. It's a 100-year-old house, all new fixtures, new metals. We try to make it look modern, but you gotta combat with these kind of things, boys. So we're dealing with 5/8 inch at this end and 1 inch at this end. So we're gonna have to, when we put our wood in, keep this in mind, but also when we bend our metal, keep this in mind. And I could talk about it some more. What I like to do is meet it in the middle, boys, okay? It's extremely common with these older homes. On these old bricks, boys, she's a very uneven surface. So while you're coming across doing your measurements, use your trusty hatchet, chip away any of these old sealants and little bits of mortar that'll be in your way, and leave yourself about 1/8 or 1/4 inch extra in your metal to play with, because you can make up for a lot of this unevenness with just the angles of your bends, boys. Got the strip here for one of our side pieces, got it marked out. Our first edge here is going to get a full hem. This is going to be our revealed edge. We want it nice, clean. Range it like the tools. Do a quick full over hem. But I'm going to have to flip my other hem before I do the 90. Otherwise, I'm going to work myself to a point where I don't fit in the brake anymore. So now I can pop it back in. Kick this 90, see I had that cut, enabled me to butt it. This is the one that she's not actually going to be a full 90. I want to keep some springed rigidity on that side. So that's her there, boys. Hemmed edge for the reveal. This slides in the window detail there. There's a side piece. Let's test her out. We know we need 4 of these total, but I ain't going to carry on making them until I come do a little test fit. So just test that there, you know. Seems like she's gonna be too legit to quit, boys. So we'll make 3 more, carry on. So now we're gonna work on our bottom, boys. Cut happens to be the exact same as the sides. Mark at 3 3/8. You see, you gotta leave yourself 1.5 inches, boys. This Van Mark trim cutter where she sits is your cutting edge is actually exactly 1.5 inches from your bending edge. So when you're doing out your measurements, make sure you're calculating for that. So I've calculated my bottom here to be 2 5/8 because I want to put a hem on it. So before I mark the metal for that bend, I'm actually just going to throw it in, put the hem on it. Then swing my D-arm here down, gives me a nice working surface. Pop the square out off my hem. I know I want 2 inches off the hem. Boom. I left myself a few inches of meat on each side here. You're going to need that for when you go to install. There's lots of cuts and bends required. You're going to need that extra meat, boy. So this is actually just going to be a pick down. This is our sill, so I want this to have slope to it. Thinking to be true 90. I can't tell you what this exact angle is. I can tell you it feels proper. It's going to work like you do, pal. Simple bottom, bing-bo. Make our top here. So I already know I need that 5/8 hem on my reveal. So before I even measure and mark my piece, I'm just going to give that little flip, pop her in. I'll give it a 5/8 hem on the reveal. Save us some messing around when we go to doing our mathematicals. Pop that weasel, hopper, hopper, hip hopper, just like that. I'll bring her out. I know what I need is a 5/8 kicker here to go into our window and bend that 2 inches off this lower hem. According to my calculatorials, I pop it in the brake first hand before I do that other bend. This is going to be my 90 that tucks into the window. Pull that up. You know, likes to double look at her, get a nice look. So she knows she's loved. Pop it back in. Now, this is a spot where I'm not going to do a true 90, boys. I'm going to leave a little springiness on it. So that when I install it, I can push it into place nice, and then just some of the force of that metal springing back will help hold it into place, boys. You see that? Hem on the reveal, tuck for the window. That's going to be the top. Boom. Beautiful. We'll start with our sill here, boys. So what I'm going to do is just slide that in. I'm not too concerned if it's perfectly centered. All I need is that I know I have enough meat on each end to do what I want to do. And I'm going to mark that at the brick on each side. I'm not going to put it super tight because, like I said, this is so uneven here and here. If I put this super tight, I'm going to run into an issue. If I run into an issue after I've already thrown the seamers down on this, it's way harder to come back from that, boys. So I'll throw the square on here. We'll measure that. That's 2 1/4. Move this line of 2 1/4 across the piece. Measure our other end. Could be different. Like I said, we never perfectly centered that. Our other side is 2 1/2. So we're going to run a line here at 2 1/2 and a couple spots across it, just so we can make our lives easier here in the near future. So now I know what I'm going to want my reveal for my side piece here. I'm just going to guesstimate on that and then mark that back there, boys, back to where we know our cut's going to be. This end. Run that back to where our cut's going to be. Now those marks I just put on there, I'll use those to kind of gauge my bend here. So I'm going to kick that up. Kick that up. Kick that up. Boom, boom. Some more trimming going to be required here. Pop that back in. Make sure those hems are going to make sure those are going to ride up how I like them, how I want them. Fix that with the fingers a bit. Okay, take the snips and we'll finish running this off here. This is extra material. Try to do as smooth as cut as we can, even though we are going to use some sealant up along the brick. See, I got a mark here, and then I know I'm going to this point. So we'll do our best. Doesn't need to be, you know, laser calculated, but it needs to fit in between these bricks, like that. You see, now we're fit in between our bricks. And I'm going to go into this channel right here dipping in, so I know I want to mark this here. I'll mark this here. Super pretty, but that's not super important. This in again. Alrighty boys, so you see I left a tab that'll come up here, that our side metal will hook in here, and I left this tab that comes up inside the window channel, and that's going to keep, when water hits this, anything that slopes back or ice that sits here, it's not going to let that penetrate through that gap, and when our window metal comes on to the side, it'll go over top of it, boys. Just leave that where it's 2 for now, no fasteners, nothing yet. I'm going to grab my window trim for this side. This will slide in over top of that tab, and then once everything's nice and tight, she'll come down like this, and she'll get a bead of sealant across here. I'm going to back caulk where it meets the window, face caulk along the brick, and along where these flashings meet. So let me get after prepping this piece, and we'll come back and show you where we're at. I'm going to mark your top for your cut out of the way. Now, pop this back in place. So we'll hold it up here. So we're going to mark for the groove in the window here. That's going to be the mark for my bend. And I don't need this much meat. So what I'll do is I'll just kind of jot down where the center of that is. I'll take the snips. And this is all completely hidden, so it's this cut, it doesn't have to be super pretty, but like anything, the cleaner the better. Cut that off because we don't need so much meat. You can bend that with your fingers, but you're going to get a sharper edge with your hand seamers here. So we'll hit that. You can see we put the little 90 on it. So now when I bring this side trim in, tuck that bottom over top of that tab, bring this top in, that tab will hook right in the channel, boom, boom, and yeah, she's pretty much a friction fit. Moving on, we'll start delegating this top. Top piece, same thing, I'll hold it in, start marking it, get rid of that, you know why? Won't be using it, pal. Alright, now we got our cut to fit in there. Hold her back in place, mark where our inside cuts will be. There. Now, pull that back off. We're going to nip this. Now, this kind of window really doesn't require a 45 in the top. It would actually be a lot nicer if this was just hemmed with a square look. So I do believe that's what I'm gonna do. So basically once I cut that inside lip, so that's gonna slide inside the window, I'm gonna take that remainder of that kicker. I'm just gonna fold that back. I'm just gonna hem that back, pinch it nice and tight so that she's more rigid than the tools, boy. Pop this other side, boom, fold that back. Pinch her with the crimper, extra tight, Tony the Tiger. Now, pop that in there. That's gonna go below that upper tab. This side's gonna go the same thing below that tab. Boom. There's your top, boys. Gonna have to massage this bend a little bit because, like, you know, we put the level on the sill, we put the level on the window, right? They're both way off, and I mentioned we can fix it with the massage. Well, this is the point where I can fix it with that massage. Once I pull this all back off, because I'm gonna back caulk this window, so this is a test fit really. What I'll do is I'll just use my hands to open that bend a bit more. And when I push that in, tighter than Tony the Tiger's sister, buddy. All right, now I know everything fits. Pull this stuff all back out. Super expert here. Color match to the window and the metal. Now typically a lot of guys, they put their metal in and then they come across the face and they caulk it, right? Well, I find you're gonna get a far cleaner look if I lay a little bit of this sealant across here. Just gonna do a little extra for these back edges behind my joint. That, these, put some sealant inside that groove there. The sill trim here, I'm actually gonna drop a little bit of a bead across here too, boys. I don't want this souping out and going crazy. Some of it's gonna soup out, but I've got no butyl tape, and this is gonna be a better barrier than nothing, trust me. Piece back in. Just push it into place. Get your tabs back in the groove there. Boom. Push it all in. Push it into place. Far cleaner than outside bead, trust me. Nice clean finish when she's all done. I'll give it a wipe down. Pop up, finish putting some sealant on. Nice thing about back caulking is you don't have to be super worried about doing those alien beads, even though those beads on the inside between the vinyl and the aluminum they're pretty easy to lay because you got a nice smooth surface there. Put that in behind, come up here, tab goes in the groove, boom, push it into place, bada bing, sealed, clean. Beautiful, like your prom date. Take this side, pop it back in, get it in the groove, boom. Sealed. That sealant also works as a pretty high grade adhesive. I mean, once this is dry, you'd have to mangle this metal to pull it out. Like I said, I went across by hand, opened this bend up a little bit, especially a little more at this end, because we know, right, we're not sitting quite level here. So now when I pop this up in, force it into that groove, underneath your side tabs, boom. Now she's nice and flush across the top because I bent that pressure into it. She's actually sealed all the way around the perimeter of the window itself with the back caulk. And yeah, boys, a few fasteners here. We're gonna call this licked. Gonna head up to the top. I'm gonna put one in each corner, just like that, and just like that. So that's solidified unit. I just pushed that into place, forced a bit of the caulk out, and I added this screw which goes into the tab of this metal that I had bent up there. So this tab, this is screwed to the tab I had left. Now we'll bury that all behind what we can only hope to be a half-arse decent silicone job. That, and now I know a lot of guys would tool that with some kind of tool, but you know, a lot of people say I'm a tool. So we'll dive in with the old manpower here, do our best. just to make sure she's sealed and not overly bubbly. Just like that. That'll be sufficient. Alrighty boys, that's about the gist of it on how we're going to wrap this particular window. It's never actually really the exact same twice, especially since we're always retrofitting these old homes. We try to seal it mechanically with the metal as best we can, so we're leaving very little exposed sealant, back caulking the window itself, hiding the sealant, and yeah boys, I bet you this will be here for about 25 years, maybe more. Carry on lads, cheers.